G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yes, this is not a mistake. Western Force versus Hurricanes ended in a draw. And yes, there was golden time, extra time with golden points in play. And neither team was able to score. Both teams had an opportunity to do their drop goal. And both teams failed. So the Western Force actually had the first opportunity to go for the drop goal. I think like they rushed it a little bit, maybe the fatigue started to kick in a little bit, and yeah, Donaldson kind of got the ball. I thought he was too close to the defensive line, and sure enough, he went for the drop goal and was charged down. And then the Hurricanes had an opportunity right at the end, right at the whistle, the hooter. Ruben Love, he hit it sweet, and the ball hit the goal post. My goodness, that was close, and he could have ricocheted in. You could ricochet like either way, right? You ricocheted out, so it was literally a few inches away from getting the win for the Hurricanes, and that was it. I actually thought there was another 10 minutes for after the golden points, but I feel like maybe that's 10 minutes extra is enough, brutal enough for all these players on the field to put on the show for the fans. Yeah. So this was actually a bit of this was actually a game where I feel like the number 9 was the most important part of the game. Both, obviously Donaldson and Ruben Love were the 10s, and they're both great, but I felt like the real spark out there was Nick White and obviously Cameron Roygaard. And I thought once Nick White got like a knock in one of the Hurricanes try, and he didn't come back, and yeah, the Western Force just looked that little bit of sharpness, a little bit of spontaneity around the rocks just disappeared. And yeah, both teams were going kind of like sideways a lot leading into the draw. So yeah, I was a little bit disappointed to see Nick White taking a hit and taking off, because he was actually quite brilliant out there tonight. He was doing really good, and then yeah, he was got a bit of a bump into a tackle, and it was Gonskis. Hopefully he will be back without much of an issue. So yeah, with that being said, I just have a few things as well. I feel like if you're a Hurricanes fan, if you're watching the last 10 minutes of the extra time, you probably have a couple of pretty little gripe against the referee there at the end. So let's have a look at some of the incidences here. So first up, there is clearly a player laying on the wrong side of ruck here, and the player went for the tackle. He's completely caught on the wrong side from his own, lack of good body position. This is not the Hurricanes trapped in. He was not deliberately trapped. He made it. This should have been a penalty to the Hurricanes, and I think that the referee made the wrong decision here to not have given it. And he can also argue he didn't use his arm. It was pretty much a no-arm tackle as well there. And yeah, referee Damon Murphy, a little bit soft there on the whistle, and another really soft one as well. There was a scrum just a few moments before this, and the Hurricanes clearly look like they won the scrum. Don't wanna. They clearly look like they won the scrum, and then the referee just did not have the balls to give the penalty there. Yeah, Donaldson also attempted this massive kick from 50 plus out, just shy. So the Western Force had 2 opportunities to win the game, and they missed. So really couldn't blame them. And I really felt like the Hurricanes worked real hard at the end there to get themselves in a position for the penalty. Like especially at the end there where the player was trapped. That was 100% his own fault. And I think that, yeah, the referee was a little bit soft there. So, and then this scrum here as well. I talk a lot about the scrummaging in this channel, and this to me looks like a clear win for the Hurricanes, and the referee was reluctant to give the penalty. So let's just have a look at this one. Yeah, the Western Force on the loose hair side here, tight hair side here, just completely get upended. Yeah, he's completely gone there. He's like this. You could argue that it's going sideways, but I think that the structure of the scrum was not in favor of the Western Force to to consider that a. I think that should have been a win for the Hurricanes. I think the Hurricanes has moved forward enough before the scrum went sideways to have earned the penalty there, I think. But again, 50-50 maybe if you want to argue that, but I think that there's a couple of calls that some other referees would have given that for the Hurricanes there. And if you're a Hurricanes fan, I don't blame you if you felt like the referee has done a bit of a a bit hard done by the referee there at the end. So yeah, that's that. So let's talk about the match stats. This game there was a lot of running, a lot of belting into each other. Western Force, to be honest, I bet you there'll be a lot of people out there saying, oh, if the Western Force kick all of their penalties, they would have won the game before extra time. But no, I think the Western Force has done the right thing, backed themselves to go for those tries, despite not able to score, especially near the end, not able to score in the second half from some of their good possessions that they had. If they had kicked the 3 points, who knows, right? You would have given more opportunities for the Hurricanes to score on the other end as well. So you might actually lose the game after kicking 3 by conceding a try from the kickoff. So you never know. I just think that the fact that Western Force backed themselves and just really pushed themselves all the way to the end to try to all the way when it was almost before almost out of time before they finally taken the penalty, was a really good mental barrier that the players are working through. Something that Australian teams has really struggled a lot in the past, and I think this is a really good sign. I would consider that as a win for the Western Force, just mentally getting over the barrier of really trying to back themselves, have confidence, and that's something that you need to beat the Lions. And a lot of carries in this game. 132 for the Western Force, 130 for the Hurricanes, and 350 run minutes for the Western Force, 445 for the Hurricanes, and just brutal players belting each other. The forwards just really going hard at it, and it's the breakdowns as well, hardy contested for both teams, and it was definitely definitely both teams went fully at it, and there was it was definitely a very close contact, a draw. I think both teams probably earned the draw for their prospective fan base as well. 8 turnovers conceded by the Western Force, 16 against the Hurricanes. So the Hurricanes probably had a bit of work to do there to give themselves a bit more opportunities. Blown a bit too many opportunities there. 172 tackles made for the Western Force, 37 missed tackles. 153 tackles made by the Hurricanes, 23 missed tackles. The Western Force defense is definitely not quite up to par. Lots of kicking for the Western Force, 38 for them, 28 for the Hurricanes. 2 missed goals from Hurricanes, one from Donaldson, and 1 drop goal each missed. The kick meter favors the Western Force, 1,022. The Hurricanes, 931. Only still a lot, very high kick meters for Super Rugby these days. But I think that in the end of the day, when the games are tight, I think teams tend to play the territory just to feel safe about where the game is being played. Especially if a penalty could win you or cost you the game really quickly. 14 lineouts for the Western Force, 1 lost. 12 for the Hurricanes, 2 lost. 1 scrum loss for the Western Force. I feel like the Hurricanes had there was a stat I jotted down. The Hurricanes in the starting pack had 65 kilos, right? 65, I'm pretty sure it was 65 kilograms of weight advantage over the Western Force. So the entire pack was 65 kilos heavier. So it's almost an extra person. It's an extra small person. A teenager or something, right? It's basically an extra person on the scrum in terms of weight there for the Hurricanes, which I was a little bit surprised the big difference there. Penalties conceded 12 apiece, and it's a tight game, and that's how it goes. Both teams had to take their opportunities, and the result is the draw. So anyway, with that being said, let's have a talk about some of the points that happened. Not really too much happened in this game. There was a Harry Potter smacked his face onto the camera. I was hoping to see a shot from where he smacked the camera from the camera, but they didn't show that. It looked like he knocked himself out as well. So he was full speed, head into the camera. Pretty brutal bump there. Outside of that, Hurricane scrum a bit better, and Donaldson got charged down, and pretty much all I need to say in terms of the game. So the point summary, it took about 12 minutes for the Hurricanes to get themselves into the first try. Cameron Roygar, just really well done. He got the ball Just a bit of heads up rugby, spot a couple of defenders in front of him. Nice little short pass to Umanga Jensen, who ran into another defender over the top pass of the ball. Fine Anganofo, the new guy, runs in for the try. 5 points to nil for the Hurricanes. 14 minutes into the game, Nick White shows that he can do everything Royga can do. So he got the ball almost like a second playmaker, runs into the defensive line, taking the hit, and got the ball free to Kungzul, who ran through for the try. 5 points to 7. It was really well done from Nick White. Yeah, so 20 minutes of the game, I thought the scrum, definitely, again, Hurricanes looked like they had a dominant scrum. There was a wrong call here. One of the player had his elbow kind of like went to the ground, and the scrum came back up, and the referee deemed that collapsing the scrum. That's actually not considered collapsing. You actually have to collapse the scrum to be considered collapsing. Just by posting to prevent the scrum from being collapsed is actually allowed. So a bit of a law there. Damon Murphy got wrong. And that was a penalty given, I think, to the Hurricanes from that, to the Western Force, I think, from that. Maybe Hurricanes, but yeah, that was a penalty given out incorrectly in the scrummaging there. The 38 minutes just before halftime, Western Force gets their second try on the board. They had a penalty, they went for the line out. The rolling ball didn't quite get there and just piled in a few times. And again, Nick White spotting Greeley right on the sideline, and it's through a pinpoint cutout pass, a pretty long one as well, flat to Greeley, who just had to walk a couple of steps to put the ball down for the try into the corner. So Western Force got off to the halftime, 12 points to 5, I believe, leading going into the halftime. Second half, the Hurricanes came out pretty strong. They were held up early in the game. 47 minutes in, there was a nice little Hurricanes play. They had a scrum. There was a lot of deep runners. Eventually, the Harkin ran straight through the Western Force defense from a nice little angle, winning for the try. 14 points to 12 to the Hurricanes. 63 minutes again. Wildkard just, some quick boy around the breakdown, draw multiple defenders, and then, send through Faenganofo through for through a gap, and then Faenganofo ran through and he bumped into Nick White and basically copped him on the head, on the shoulder. Nick White went in too hard on him, and he was he's a big guy, and yeah, this was a big try. I felt like Faenganofo could have ran in under the post a little bit. He was just too excited to get to the try line and put the ball down, and he definitely didn't have enough pressure he definitely had some opportunity to run the ball closer, and Hurricanes missed the kick here, so it was pretty important. Should he have ran a bit closer to the goalpost. 14 points to 17. After this, the Western Force had an opportunity to go for a line out, to go for 3 points. It still didn't. They went for the line out, and then was snuffed out. Finally, 78 minutes, the Western Force got a last penalty opportunity. Ben Donaldson kicked this one for the draw, taking the game into extra time. And yeah, extra time early on, 2 minutes in, Western Force had a penalty, 50-odd meter out, missed by Donaldson, and then Donaldson had a drop goal after that, and then the Hurricanes scooped up the drop goal, ran through. There was a knock on scrum, and then Hurricanes piled in before Ruben Love drop goal hit the goalpost to end the game in a draw. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts about this game. Did you enjoy it? Do you think the Super Rounds Golden Point is a good idea? I think it's pretty decent. It was very exciting. It was very exciting to watch, and I just think that whoever won that game would have been pretty much like a coin toss then, right? Like it's not really gonna be. Yeah, it's not really gonna be. I feel like it's more luck than skill. Whoever wins the game at that point, but still very exciting as a fan to watch. And yeah, let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week for the news. Cheers.